The janitor's mop hit the floor with a wet slap as Marcus Williams watched another rejection email load on his cracked phone screen. 27 years old, cleaning toilets at 3 a.m. in a Manhattan office building, while his Harvard MBA classmates posted vacation photos from the Hamptons. But Marcus had a secret. Every night after his shift, he'd sit in that empty boardroom on the 42nd floor, staring out at the city lights, sketching business plans on napkins. The same executives who wouldn't make eye contact with him during the day had no idea that the guy emptying their trash cans was about to change everything. You see, being invisible has its advantages. When you're the help, people talk around you like you don't exist. They discuss million-dollar deals, reveal company weaknesses, share insider information. For 2 years, Marcus absorbed it all. Every careless conversation, every strategic mistake, every missed opportunity. He was building something in the shadows, something that would make them all remember his name. The transformation didn't happen overnight. It started with a single observation during one of those late-night cleaning rounds. Marcus noticed how the executives at Pinnacle Financial struggled with a basic problem. Their client onboarding process was a disaster. New investors waited weeks for account setup, losing money while drowning in paperwork. The firm was hemorrhaging clients, but nobody seemed to connect the dots. Marcus saw the solution clearly: a streamlined digital platform that could cut onboarding time from 3 weeks to 3 hours. But here's where the story gets interesting. He didn't just have the idea, he had access to everything he needed to build it. Client feedback forms in the trash, internal memos left on desks, system passwords carelessly written on sticky notes. The very people who dismissed him had handed him the keys to their kingdom. The ethical weight of this knowledge pressed down on Marcus like a physical force. Late at night, mopping those marble floors, he wrestled with questions that kept him awake long after his shift ended. Was using overheard information stealing? Did his invisible status give him the right to act on what he learned? The executives treated him like furniture, but did that justify turning their carelessness against them? Marcus made his choice on a rainy Tuesday in March. He quit his job without explanation, cashed out his meager savings, and disappeared into a cramped studio apartment in Queens. For 6 months, he lived on ramen noodles and determination, coding 18 hours a day. His fingers bled from typing, his eyes burned from screen glare, but he pushed forward. Every line of code was fueled by years of humiliation, every feature designed to solve problems he'd witnessed firsthand. The psychological toll was brutal. Isolation crept in like fog. Friends stopped calling. His mother worried he'd lost his mind. Some nights, Marcus would stand on his fire escape, looking back towards Manhattan, wondering if he was chasing a delusion. The voice in his head whispered cruel truths. Who was he kidding? A janitor building software to compete with Wall Street giants? The world would laugh him back into obscurity. But Marcus had learned something powerful during those invisible years. When people underestimate you, they give you room to work. When they don't see you coming, you can build something extraordinary right under their noses. The ridicule that once crushed his spirit now became fuel for his ambition. The breakthrough came at 4 a.m. on a Sunday. Marcus finally cracked the encryption algorithm that would make his platform unhackable. As he watched the code compile successfully, tears streamed down his face, not from joy, but from the weight of what he'd accomplished. He'd built something that could revolutionize financial services, and he'd done it alone, in the dark, while the world slept. Launch day arrived like a storm. Marcus called his creation ThinFlow, and within hours of going live, it attracted attention from the most unexpected source. Pinnacle Financial's biggest competitor, Meridian Capital, reached out. They'd been watching the platform's beta testing, impressed by its elegant solution to an industry-wide problem. They wanted to meet. The irony was delicious. Marcus walked into Meridian's glass tower wearing the same suit he'd worn to job interviews 2 years earlier. But this time, he wasn't begging for work. He was offering to solve their problems. The executives who greeted him had no idea. They were shaking hands with the former janitor who'd once cleaned their rivals' offices. The negotiations revealed Marcus's true transformation. Gone was the desperate job seeker who'd accepted rejection after rejection. In his place sat a confident entrepreneur who understood his worth. When Meridian offered $2 million for FinFlow, Marcus countered with $5 million plus equity. When they balked, he stood up to leave. They called him back before he reached the elevator. But success brought new moral dilemmas. As FinFlow grew, Marcus faced pressure to cut corners, to prioritize profit over user protection. Investors pushed for features that would harvest client data, turning his creation into a surveillance tool. The same ethical questions that haunted his janitor days returned with greater complexity. How much compromise was acceptable? When did smart business become moral corruption? The answer came during a board meeting 6 months after launch. A venture capitalist suggested adding hidden fees to boost revenue, targeting users who wouldn't notice the charges. Marcus felt something snap inside him. He'd built FinFlow to solve problems, not create them. In that moment, he realized his transformation wasn't just about wealth or recognition. It was about becoming the kind of person who could look himself in the mirror without flinching. Marcus bought out his investors, taking on massive debt to maintain control of his company. The financial press called it career suicide. Former allies questioned his sanity. But Marcus had learned to trust his instincts, even when they led him away from easy money. He'd rather build something meaningful than profitable, something that honored the struggles that created it. The psychological journey from invisible janitor to visible entrepreneur taught Marcus profound truths about human nature. People's treatment of you often reflects their own insecurities, not your worth. The same executives who'd ignored him as a janitor now sought his advice as a CEO. Their respect hadn't been earned through his transformation. It had always been his to claim. He'd simply learned to demand it. Today, FinFlow processes over $1 billion in transactions monthly. Marcus employs 200 people, many of them overlooked talents he'd discovered in unexpected places. His former cleaning supervisor now runs his facilities management division. The security guard who used to let him in the building after hours heads his cybersecurity team. Marcus learned that transformation isn't just personal, it's contagious. The ridicule that once defined Marcus's existence became the foundation of his empathy. He remembers every dismissive glance, every condescending comment, every door slammed in his face. These memories don't fuel resentment anymore. They fuel purpose. When young entrepreneurs approach him with wild ideas and empty pockets, Marcus sees himself in their desperate hope. He invests not just money, but belief. The moral complexity of Marcus's journey continues to evolve. Success brought opportunities to settle old scores, to humiliate those who'd humiliated him. But revenge, he discovered, is a hollow victory. The executives at Pinnacle Financial eventually approached him for help, their company struggling with the same problems Marcus had identified years earlier. He could have refused, could have watched them fail. Instead, he offered a partnership that saved their business while advancing his own. This choice revealed the deepest truth of Marcus's transformation. Real power isn't about crushing those who wronged you. It's about rising above the need for their validation. The janitor who once craved their respect had become a man who no longer needed it. He'd found something more valuable than their approval. He'd found his own. The story of Marcus Williams reminds us that transformation often begins in the darkest moments, when the world has written you off and you're forced to write yourself back in. The ridicule that breaks some people becomes the catalyst that makes others. The difference isn't talent or luck or connections. It's the willingness to use your invisibility as a superpower to build something extraordinary while everyone's looking the other way. Marcus still keeps a photo on his desk from his janitor days, not as a reminder of how far he's come, but as a promise of how far he'll go. Because transformation isn't the destination. It's a daily choice to become more than the world expects, more than circumstances suggest, more than fear allows. And sometimes the greatest victories come not from proving others wrong, but from proving yourself right.